need to include so many weapons, because you could take one weapon and turn it into so many different weapons. Like, you could take a plasma rifle, slap on a short barrel, and you know, an automatic receiver, and you got yourself a plasma AA-12, right? Or you could slap on a long barrel, put on a scope, and then you got yourself a plasma sniper. So there were so many, you know, you could customize the shit out of these weapons, and these weapons, you know, you could customize in a way where they can, you know, work in so many situations. I think that's what Bethesda wanted. But it kind of took away from just the varied amount of weapons that New Vegas had, because you can kind of create the same amount of weapons just through modding, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if that sounds convoluted. But anyway, that's basically the weapon crafting system. Crafting systems are a rather sophisticated topic to talk about, so we'll talk about the armor smithing system. The armor smithing system I didn't mind too much as well. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was well done. It was solid. They could have done things maybe a little differently to extend the customization of armor even further. Like, for instance, you know, there are like set armor sets in the game. There are armor sets in the game. You have Raider, you have Metal, you have this is the location I wanted to go to. I don't know why I went in there. You have Raider, you have Metal, you have Combat, you know, Leather, whatever. Synth, whatever. And, well, you know, each piece had, you know, 3 variants. You had, heavy, you had medium, you had light, and there was never an option to actually switch from light to medium to heavy, or scale back heavy to medium to light. There was never an option to do that, and that kind of sucks. I think that would have added a little more functionality to the weaponsmithing bench, workshop, whatever you want to call it. I think what they should do... Oh, and also, actually, before I actually go into that, I forgot to mention one thing about the weaponsmithing system. I think, you know, very simple suggestion. I think that Bethesda should just include different attachments. Maybe allow us to put on different, you know, have a lot of, you know, more varied array of sights to use. Maybe allow us to change the reticle, and definitely allow us to use different paint jobs on our weapons. That would be great. So I forgot to mention that. I apologize. I don't think this is a crypt that I can go in. So yeah, the armor smithing system more or less is kind of the same thing. Allow us to customize our armor sets a little more. Maybe change the paint job a little bit, in addition to like the material type. So like my Fallout 4 character, he's fully decked out in full heavy combat armor, and I'd actually downloaded a mod that allows me to actually change from light to medium to heavy. But again, that should have been, you know, in the game to begin with. But I do actually have fucking bastard bear. Bears always come out to annoy me. I don't get it. Bears everywhere in this fucking game. Allow us to customize it a little more. I have a mod that allows that it adds new like paint jobs that I can use. Or not paint jobs, but well, I guess paint jobs. Like my armor set is combat armor. It's heavy combat armor, but I have a carbon fiber. I have carbon fiber. It's in carbon fiber. All right. That's basically what I was trying to say. It has a carbon fiber skin or material looking thing, and I think it looks pretty cool. Definitely looks pretty G. So I like the way it looks, and it also allowed me to do a few more things in terms of customization. Like on the front of it, I can put on a different logo or decal or whatever. So I put on. And they had a bunch of different decals. Like I could have the Brotherhood of Steel logo, or the Minuteman logo, the Gunners logo, or whatnot. But I actually opted for the. Who's this asshole? I actually opted for the Vault 111 logo, and stuff like that. Little things like that could have easily been added to, you know, further increase the depth of the you know, of the armor system. So I think Bethesda should retain the armor system, but just improve upon it in the ways that I just mentioned. Maybe I want to put different kinds of ornamentation on it. Allow us to do so. Maybe I like the spikes that I can put on Raider armor, but I don't want to put it. But I don't want to wear Raider armor. I want to wear, I don't know, combat armor. But I want to put the spikes on the armor. Allow me to do so. Or maybe I can put on like a makeshift flashlight on like a helmet that doesn't have a flashlight, and pretty much make my Pip-Boy like kind of a spotlight, sort of light whenever I activate it, instead of the radial light that comes up. Allow me to do something like that, and I think that'll be cool. So, you know, little things like that further adds to increase just the depth of the armor smithing system, and allow us players to have a little more customization. And my game's lagging hardcore here. It's very rare when it does this, but it'll happen in some places. So you know what, I'm actually gonna try to get the hell out of this fucking Whiterun Valley. It's ridiculous. Let's go here. What was it? Right here. Right here. Where do I want to go? Oh, whatever, I'll just fucking go right here. Anyway, just get out of that light. That's basically the weapon and the armor smithing system. What I would want Bethesda to do. Now we have power armor. Power armor, to be honest, I didn't use power armor too much. There are things that they can do, maybe again like armor smithing, allow us to fully deck out our power armors and, you know, give us more, I guess, paint jobs to work with, allow us to put different sorts of, you know, different kinds of ornamentation and decals on our armor. I think that would be pretty cool. But the power armor mechanic in general was pretty good. It actually made the power armor feel like it was badass and powerful to have, but it was a limited thing because you had to worry about fuel with the fusion cores and shit. So I think Bethesda should keep that. Yeah, that's basically smithing. I thought that would take longer, but it really didn't. So I kind of explained it rather quickly, but I hope you guys understand what I was meaning, or what I was trying to say when I was going over the suggestions. So, yeah, now we'll talk about, well, I guess we can talk about the, what was it? I was trying to think, whoa, I should have made a list. I guess we can talk about the story. Story's something good to talk about. And I think the reason why Fallout 4 was so, or rather why a lot of people didn't like it, is that the story was a little underwhelming. And I could understand that. The sense of urgency was high, or rather, it should have been higher. Like, you know, my child is out there, I need to go find him. Yet here I am, dicking around, building settlements for 3 days. You know, I'm gonna come back here, because I don't want to talk to these people just yet. I feel, you know, maybe there should have been, first of all, the factions. I think those were the biggest problem. The faction system. Or not the faction system, but just the way the story involved the factions. Like in New Vegas, for example. New Vegas had the perfect storyline, in my opinion. What the hell are these assholes?
Need something? Speak.
Oh, you fuckers. Basically, in New Vegas, and like I said, I think New Vegas did the story very well. It had a fantastic narrative, and it involved, you know, so many factions, and the way you can go about interacting with these factions, it was insane. Like, for instance, I think the problem with Fallout 4 is its lack of diplomatic routes that you could take. Like, you look at...
Must gather our strength.
Oh my god. I really don't want to start any quests. I'm going to have to come back later or something. Because I don't want to talk to people. Because I like to listen to them, but I don't want to do that because then I have to stop the commentary. In New Vegas, you know, you could, like, side with the NCR, right? And then, like, we all know that the NCR and the Great Khans, they hate each other as a result of the Bitter Springs massacre. But rather, like, in Fallout 4, where if the two factions hate each other, your only option is to go to that faction that opposes you and destroy them, you didn't have to do that in New Vegas, for the most part. You could actually forge an alliance. So, like, I could actually break the alliance between Caesar's Legion and the Great Khans, and I could, what the fuck? And then I could actually forge an alliance, albeit a shaky alliance, but an alliance nonetheless, between the NCR and the Great Khans. I could do the same thing with the Brotherhood of Steel. They don't like the NCR because of the battle at Helios 1, but I can, if I work with them well enough, I can convince them. I can say, hey, listen, I know you don't like them, but do it for me. Side with the NCR, help us out, let us defeat Caesar's Legion, and then we can go our separate ways. We can make the wasteland a little safer, and, you know, we can go about our business, you know, in relative peace, I guess. That's what you could do in New Vegas. Fallout 4, there was no option to do that. Like, I didn't think the Railroad and the Brotherhood should have been that great of enemies. Like, if I sided with either or, I should be able to make peace with the other faction, and then go directly after the Institute together. There was no option to do that. Or, you know, Far Harbor kind of fixed that. It allowed me to make peace with all the factions rather than having to kill one. Because, like, maybe I liked the Railroad to a degree in the Fallout 4, but I really liked the Institute. There was no way to make peace with both, when there should have been something that I could do to kind of make peace with one another. And there was also a lack of minor factions, too. Fallout New Vegas, you had the Boomers, you had the Great Khans, you had the factions on the Strip, the Omertas, the Chairman, the White Glove Society, you had the Brotherhood of Steel. You had so many different factions. Like, I felt like the Gunners shouldn't have been hostile right from the get-go. Maybe the Gunners, you know, I can convince the Gunners to help us out or something like that. I felt it was kind of dumb that the Gunners were just hostile. Maybe I could have, you know, recruited them to you know, to help my alliance out, and do something like that, you know. But there was an option to do that, and that kind of sucks. You know, every gunner I saw, I just had to wipe those fuckers out, which is a shame because I don't think they're, you know, I think they're a fairly cool faction. It would have been nice to work with them. There wasn't an option to do that, and that's well, that's what sucks. Fallout 5 needs to change that. There needs to be diplomatic routes that I can take. If I don't want to outright destroy a faction, I shouldn't have to.
I'll soon arrange transportation.
Oh, I remember that.
Don't worry. You'll run.
Why do I feel like I'm running so slow? I have no clue. I ain't gonna fuck with it. Oh, hopefully it's not a mod. I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah, the story needs to include a little more in terms of player choice. I shouldn't have to be forced to destroy all these factions. I should be able to work with them. And, you know, I felt like my actions didn't have real consequences. And in addition to that, another key point of criticism people had is that there wasn't like a karma system. You know, people that like playing as evil in Fallout games, they didn't have that option. I always play as good, so it was fine with me, the story. But I understand that there, you know, if I was gonna play as an evil character, I don't know, it's kind of, there really wasn't an option to do that, and that kind of sucks. So hopefully Fallout 5 can fix that. I also felt there were a lack of factions to join in Fallout 4. I mean, other than your main faction and then the Minutemen, what else did you have? What the fuck is this? There was nothing else. There was no other faction to join. I wish it would have been cool if I could join the Gunners, to be honest with you. That would have been something cool, to join them and rise up in the ranks and become the leader of the Gunners or some shit. And even when I was the leader of any of the main factions, I felt like my role, you know, was limited, and there were really no perks to that position of power that I had obtained. Which is, you know, it's a shame, to be honest with you. I was the director of the institute, yet I didn't get anything. I didn't feel rewarded. I didn't feel like I was in a position to actually do anything. That's the problem with a lot of games, actually. It's not just Fallout 4. A lot of Bethesda games, even when I was, you know, leader of the Thieves Guild, and, you know, like I am now in Skyrim, or, you know, actually I'm not, but I was in the original. But I plan on completing the Thieves Guild questline here, but still, you know, I can be leaders of all these factions, yet I feel like there's really nothing for me to do. I can't order or manage the guild or change it in ways now that I am actually the leader. Like if I was the, because I didn't like the Brotherhood in Fallout 4, which is, that's like a whole different story as to why I don't like them, because I liked them in the other games. But if I was the Elder, I feel like I should be able to make some changes. But there was no option to do that. I am running slower. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Might be something with a mod. Or maybe it's just, I don't know, whatever. There should be perks that are attached with this position of power. And yet I feel like there are none. I feel like it's only the title. That's really it. It's just the title that I have. Everything else is just like, there's nothing to do as the leader. What the hell? So I feel like Fallout 5 should do a better job of making me actually feel like I'm the leader of these guilds or factions or whatever, and give me, you know, a few options to work with. You know, if I want to change the guild around in a certain way, give me that option or faction or whatever. So yeah. That's basically the story. Of course, I wasn't gonna like make up an entire story I would want. That's you know, that's to Bethesda's discretion. You know what story they want to make. I just hope it isn't like a personal one again. I'm sick and tired of looking for family. Who the fuck is this?
This one has something sweet for the fellow traveler, if it entices. The finest skooma, the sweetest moon sugar, at a fair price, of course.
Really? How about you just give me what you have and we both walk away from this, you motherfucker?
That's not going to happen.
Oh.
You're dead.
Say your prayers. Fucking douchebag. Alright, I failed that intimidation. I don't usually fail intimidations. I have that perk that allows me to double my chances, which I know doesn't mean 100%, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story. That's what I would want them to do with the story. How they make the story, you know, is up to them. But you know, in terms of plot points and all that. So let's move on to the skill system, the perks, leveling, and all that shit. I had thought that Fallout 4 was gonna have the Skyrim-like leveling system in the game. I'm actually glad that it doesn't. I think that, you know, that system should just remain in the hands of Elder Scrolls. And, you know, Fallout 4 shouldn't really have any of that. But what Fallout 4 did have is a much more simplistic leveling system. You level up with skill points, then you put a point in a perk. Which was fine, but it was done incredibly wrong. And if it was done in this particular way that I'm going to explain now, it would have been so much better, and it would have felt more like a role-playing game. I'll use an example from New Vegas. In New Vegas, right, you had perks, right? Right, you had perks and you had skills. During dialogue, new dialogue options would open up depending on if your skill was at a certain level or a certain number, like repair 75 or speech 50 or something. Depending on how leveled these skills were, it would open up new options not only in dialogue, but in terms of actions that you can do, like during certain quests. Like for instance, let's say you had to, you had to heal some dude. You had to help a doctor out. He has a bunch of patients. Excuse me. He had a bunch of patients, and he couldn't really handle them all. What are you gonna do? He needs help. You gotta help him out. He has too many patients. He can't handle them all. If your medicine skill was high enough, you could diagnose these patients, and then you could find out what's wrong with them and heal them. If your medicine skill wasn't high enough, you'd have to go out there and find some medical supplies, and then come back and then heal the patient using those supplies. But because your medicine skill was a certain level, you now had the ability to, an alternate option opened up, right? So you didn't have to actually go out and find these supplies. Or same thing with like repairing a generator. If your repair skill was high enough, you could just jury-rig the shit out of that fucking thing, and it would work. The power would come back on. If you didn't, you'd have to find all kinds of junk and salvage just to make it work. I don't think, and that was fine. Because it opened up new things. If I leveled up my skill, I should have the option to utilize this skill, in some situations, in certain scenarios. What Fallout 4 could have done is rather, since they decided let's take away skills, maybe if I had a certain perk, a specific dialogue option would open up that would only be available if I had that specific perk, or that specific rank of that perk. Or maybe certain actions would open up if I actually had another, perk at a certain level or whatnot. Just these little things that you're able to do, these actions that you can commit to just by having the right perk. That's what made New Vegas so fun. And, Fallout 4 removed that RPG element that if you level up these skills, you'll be able to use them in these situations. That's what Fallout 4 should have done, and they didn't. So I think Fallout 5 needs to either go back to New Vegas' system of RPG elements utilizing skills and perks and all that shit. And same thing in New Vegas. If you had a certain perk too, it wasn't just skills, but if you had a certain perk, you'd be able to open up new options, not only during quests, but in dialogue and shit like that. Fallout 5 needs to either go with New Vegas' system, or if it's going to keep Fallout 4's system, allow these perks to give us new options when it comes to completing quests. Open up, unlock new alternative endings or methods of completing this quest, or dialogue options, which can result in a completely different ending, depending on what you say to whoever. Fucking bear. Where's that fucking bear? That bear knows not to fuck with me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck you! Fucking douchebag. Anyway. That's basically skills and leveling, and also my opinion on no level cap. I don't really know. What the fuck is this? Oh, I found it. I found what I needed to find for that one bitch. What's this? Alright, I completed it. I didn't even know. I like that. Oh wow, I'm in deep shit here. Clear these guys out. Anyway, I don't really have an opinion on the no level cap. I guess it's fine. It does encourage you to be able to use everything in a playthrough and experience everything. A lot of people may not like that because they don't want to experience everything, or they want to stick to one specific playstyle. And if that's the case, just don't spend the points in perks that don't, correspond with the playstyle you want. It's very simple. So I think having an unlimited, leveling system is fine. No problem at all. And yeah, that's just me. I think, I don't know, I think maybe they should keep the unlimited leveling system, unlimited level cap. There's nothing wrong with it. If we want to get every perk in the game, we can. Whatever. That's our decision. So I don't have a problem with the unlimited leveling cap. Or the, no level cap, whatever. So that's the leveling system. And the last thing I want to talk about is the and this is actually very important. This is probably gonna be the last point. I didn't want to make this video drag on forever, but Fallout 5 needs most desperately a new engine. I mean, Bethesda can no longer use the creation kit. I hope that for this Starfield project, whatever this new IP is going to be, I hope it doesn't use the creation kit, because as beautiful as the creation kit is, and yeah, I know the graphics aren't the best, but still, I mean, Skyrim at its time was a very good looking game. Fallout 4, the graphics aren't even half bad as people say they are. There's nothing wrong with them. Yeah, they're not, you know, maybe 2016 quality, but they're fine. The problem is not the graphics, it's not the visuals, it's just the technical performance. Skyrim had so many problems, even with the creation engine being the first game, or even with the creation engine being, you know, Skyrim was the first game the creation engine used, and the creation engine was already fucking up in many situations. A lot of technical problems were happening. Even in Fallout 4. Fallout 4, believe it or not, was actually very stable. And I'm surprised, because I said to myself, if they reuse the creation engine, who the fuck knows? You know, this game could be super, you know, super glitchy, super buggy, because they used an outdated engine. It's outdated now, not when it was made, but now it is, and I don't think they should continue to use it. Fallout 4 has to be the last game. It has to be the last game that uses the creation engine. I'll take some of my coffee here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Anyway, Fallout 5 cannot use the creation engine. It can't, it doesn't matter how much they modify it, it doesn't matter how much they update it, can no longer use it. It needs to have a new engine. If Fallout 5 truly is, I'm assuming Bethesda will claim, oh, it's our most ambitious game yet, it's, you know, they have to show it by having a completely new engine, because Fallout 4 was their most ambitious game yet. It still is their most ambitious game, and yet it was not even treated to an entire graphical overhaul like it should have been, to, you know, because it was their first game on the next gen systems, on the PS4, on the Xbox One. A new graphics engine would have been great. So that's what they need to do. There needs to be a new graphics engine for Fallout 5. That's really it. It's very simple. New graphics engine, don't use the creation kit, or the creation engine. And yeah, and you know, mods on console, that'd be nice too, although it's not necessary. Chances are I probably won't even use mods in my first playthrough, but maybe if I do a second or third, I'll do it. So we'll go from there. We'll see. Who knows? You know, maybe Bethesda will see this. That's a pretty naive way to think. But who the hell knows? But you know, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you know, have a little idea on how I would want the next Fallout game to be, what tweaks or improvements I think Bethesda can make. And you know, some of these, and these are improvements that I think are essential. Alright, they are imperative. Bethesda needs to make them. To you, they may not even mean much, and if that's what you think, that's what you think.
You can't hide from me.
And I don't know if I mentioned it before, I might have just slipped my mind, but if you want to refute a suggestion I made, or you want to improve upon it, do so in the comments. I encourage it. So yeah, that's my little Fallout 4 video. Oh, look, here's Windhelm. And yeah, I'm gonna kick these fucking trolls' ass. I didn't do much, they're frost trolls. What an idiot I am. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. And well, I don't know what video I might make next. I don't know. We'll see from here. That kind of sucks, because now that I can do commentary, I ruined like so many I actually had like 6 or 7 videos worth of footage that don't have commentary over them. So I'm kind of wondering whether or not I should probably just upload them anyway. They won't have my commentary, so I don't know. We'll see. But this video is running pretty long, so I'm gonna cut it right here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the future. I'll see ya. Bye bye.